Welcome to Wisdom Wednesday. Okay, cool. So yeah, we're just waiting for people to come on board. Thanks for posting that in the chat, Christina. Appreciate that regarding your police background check. We're having people come on. That's exciting. I think hopefully we're all getting excited for the kickoff with the speakers that are coming down the pipe. We've been sending out some messages. The numbers are climbing. I think this morning I checked, we're at 91 people already registered. And as I said, I have 3 people outside the brokerage, which we are charging people. If you're outside the brokerage and you wanted to attend to see these speakers, we're charging $150 per person to come to that. I really haven't pushed it anywhere, just on my social media, but with a few interested people. Half of that money is going to our Easter seals, which is kind of a good cause there. And I don't like, we may just push it all over there in the end as well. So the purpose of that is just keep the momentum going on the Easter seals fundraising. So, but that's going to be a really good event. And we have a new guest speaker that I'll add to the panel a little later on. I'll explain why. But guys, we have some big news this morning. I think we should just start off with that, and I'll let Mom kind of just share the good news from her mic.
Yes, we just got the global rankings, and we are number 19 in the world again, 2 years in a row. Last night, well, I slept till about 3 o'clock, and then I woke up. I was so giddy and excited, I just couldn't get back to sleep again. Like, you'd think after all these years, and yet I'm still so excited, and I am so proud of this amazing team because we all achieved this one together. I mean, guys, this is incredible. Congratulations to each and every one of you. Woohoo!
Yeah, well done, everybody. Honestly, I don't think we've been chatting the last couple weeks almost. Like even Martin, who checks the numbers, like, guys, this has been a tough year for everybody across the board in Canada, in contrast to the year before with the number of transactions. So hey, maybe we're not going to do as well as what you always doubt yourself in from time to time, but boy, we just had some really big numbers this year from the average agent. I mean, we're looking at the numbers there. We're still pushing 11, 12 deals per agent, or sorry, per office as an average agent per year in the Brampton office. As you go further north, we actually see bigger numbers. I think the average deals in the Thornbury office, of course, we've got the pre-construction deals that are pushed out by Stan and his team there, but they're like, I think they're 26 deals. Well, we got to confirm that, but that's the numbers where we're at. Collingwood's got big numbers. Orangeville's got really good numbers as well too. The Brampton office is a little bit smaller because there's a lot more agents here, but really big, powerful office to be number 19 in the world out of just over 14,000.
And as Martin constantly reminded me before because we've been waiting for this, and needless to say, I get a bit excited about it and impatient. But he's like, oh, now Joanne, you got to keep in mind the the difference in the American dollar, and these numbers come out dollar for dollar, so it's an even bigger accomplishment for us with the exchange rate. So congratulations to you all. I mean, as a company, this is something for us to feel extremely proud of. So whoop. And yes, Trevor, on the North Notes, we have another amazing award that has been given to us globally. Look at this, guys. Thornbury, population 5,000.
Yeah.
Yes, 5,000. And Stan Reljic is the number 8 individual producer in the world.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
That is amazing. And again, he's in Thornbury, a small little town. He's going to, we were chatting with him last night, Mom Martin, Kevin Jose, myself, just going back and forth chatting. And we're like, hey, Stan, I hope you're coming to the kickoff. I think it's important to have a producer at this level in our own office to share some of his key successes. We're actually going to make him a guest speaker at the kickoff because he does have a unique business. He does have a unique story where he's getting this business from, and it could happen to any one of you.
Yes.
Being at the right place at the right time and being prepared. That's what sales is all about. A lot of people think it's a talent. It's just working hard. It's a bit of everything. You can't get lucky if you're not out on the rink, putting those shots on net, right? So this is we're going to have Stan come out on at the kickoff on the 15th, and he's probably going to do a 20-minute talk about his story, his successes, and he's a pretty spectacular individual. So congratulations, Stan.
And Trevor, I just want to add to Stan's story. This was opportunity that you're talking about showed up for Stan as a referral. But the difference was he was told after the fact. It had been referred to another salesperson first who just didn't make a phone call. And he ended up because Stan is a man of action. He gets a lead, he acts on it immediately. I think he's like always in 10 places at the same time, actually. But he got the Cobble Beach opportunity by returning his call in a very timely fashion. So, opportunities come to everyone. It's what you do with your opportunity that makes the difference. And we're extremely proud. He couldn't stop laughing. He's just like, yeah, population 5,000. I'm number 8 in the world.
Yeah.
So amazing.
He laughed when he was at conference. A couple people were coming up to him. They're like, what city? I've never heard of the city. Like Toronto? Is it near Toronto? Is it like Toronto?
Is it
No.
Of Toronto.
Oh,
no, not really.
But it actually does, point to a lesson. If you're working the relationships, the acres of diamonds, as the Brian Buffini training that we're going through, the acres of diamonds that you're standing on top of right now, you just got to dig a little deep into your network. And again, it was a referral. He got the opportunity, right place at the right time. But that's what sales is all about: being prepared at any moment to just get up and go and do it. And so, anyways, congratulations, Stan. He'll be chatting at our kickoff, so we're grateful for that.
Yes.
I'm just gonna queue up our agenda for today. Stand by.
In the meantime, you better all be marching around today going, I'm number 19 in the world. Yes, I am.
Absolutely. So just quick agenda here for today. I do want to talk about the market. And of course, I'd love to feed into your feedback. When we were in February of 2021, 2022, all the years seem to meld together these days, but we started seeing signs and discussing those signs on these calls. And I'm hearing some kind of feedback in general of things starting to happen in certain pockets in certain areas. There's zero prediction. There's zero expectation with that. I'm just hearing different things, and I just wanted to share that with you. So that we'll go through that. I did want to touch on Brian Buffini. We'll get into that. The kickoff we've touched on a little bit. And don't let me exit this call today without Christina. I need you, if you don't mind, we're going to review a little bit of the forums update. We meant to do that last week, and we need to touch base on that one. Okay. So that's just my quick agenda for today. But so let's just kind of chat if we can. I don't know if IP is on the call here.
I see him.
There he is. IP, why don't you, if you don't mind, if you can just unmute yourself. There you go. I came in the office yesterday. I hope I can say this, IP. I came in the office yesterday. I was talking to mom on the phone, blah, 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 blah. And I walk in, I'm like, who smells that good? It's IP right away. I'm like, I know it's IP. And so I'm not going to give up his secret cologne there, but he smells good every time he comes in the office. So, but IP, you and I were chatting in the kitchen there, and you were asking me, what are you hearing? What are you hearing? Because this is my feedback. Why don't you share a little bit about what you're seeing in the marketplace, IP? Oh, he may have frozen there.
And he just froze.
Too long of a pass off from Trevor.
I don't know.
Oh,
My system, I have an internet problem right now. Give me a second.
No problem. We can hear you now, though.
We can hear you now.
Okay, but I can't see anybody.
Oh.
Anyhow, last 2 months I've been going a lot to Milton. I've been telling my first-time home buyers who are coming from like India to that's one of the best towns. And in November, December, didn't see a lot of activity. But in January, in fact, I faced multiple offers in many properties. And for showings also, I have to wait for, there were a lot of showings going on. And I have to wait for other people to come out to go ahead. So, and right now also, I've sold a couple of units and a couple of detached homes in Milton in January. And it took me a lot of effort going back and forth. But the only sellers who were little motivated are where you can make a sale. If they are not motivated, they're rigid, those properties are staying on the market. Everything else is selling very fast. Even if you can check the sales, all the detached homes, they are going beyond what they were selling at in December.
Good. Yeah.
So I can easily say in Milton, I'm just predicting Milton, that it's if you say it's 5% up from December, it's not wrong.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting feedback that I got. You and I were chatting about yesterday, and I think it's important to bring these sorts of stories up. Is there anybody else seeing either an uptake in their showings on a listing or seeing the multiple offers out as you're working with buyers? I'd love to hear from anybody who's seeing any of those signs. Oh, what was that, Michael? Did you have some feedback for us, Michael? I heard your laugh, Michael.
It's a pretty quiet room.
Yeah. How are you finding it out there, Michael?
Start out with who's got a listing.
Yeah. Michael, how are you finding it out there? I know you're busting it out there. Is that a term?
I have a listing coming up on Ken Park pretty soon, but the sellers are still reluctant to look at the facts of the market. They're still looking for an outrageous price, but we're having those conversations almost daily now, and I'm wearing them down. It's easy to provide the stats. I mean, whether it's the sales or whether it's the interest rates or whether it's every news article that I've collected. Even the guy who rents knows that the market is down. So those are going to be very crushing conversations as we move through this year.
Yeah, a couple points what you just said there, though. Sellers their expectations are really high. Show of hands, have you guys been going out trying to book, I guess, evaluation appointments with past clients? It's a new year. It's been pretty turbulent 2022 with prices and expectations. Do you know what your home is worth? Do you know what your financial goals are this year? And you should be starting with your biggest asset for the most part, which is your home. What is that valued at in order to realize your financial goals for 2023? Is anybody doing that right now, just as a prospecting exercise? If not, you should be. I know the Orangeville office, you guys are really good. Every year, there's a whole crew of you that know the opportunity in the new year. CMAs. We're gonna go touch base with our database. Hey, this is where things are at in 2023. They know that people are setting the New Year's resolutions around their financial goals. Guys, if you're not doing that one, that's a low-hanging fruit opportunity to your database and giving real information and setting the expectation with your clients. And you don't want someone else setting that expectation. You should be setting that expectation if you're a valued relationship there. Hey, Holly, you've got a couple listings. I feel like you do. You do. How many listings you got right now, Holly?
I have 3. One is sold conditional.
Awesome.
And are you seeing a lot more activity from buyer visitors or offers that you got one sold there conditional? Are you seeing more than one offer?
So Dunblane, there was some good activity. There was a separate entrance with a basement apartment. So I think that's why that one was popular. I have one on 13 Garden Park Lane. Full disclosure, I haven't had one agent book an appointment in over a week. We just listed last week, and I've had 2 agents book and both of them cancel. And then my Royce, I'm seeing a little bit of action this week. So hopefully it's a beautiful home. So hopefully something will come out of that. But in fact, with Dunblane, I was speaking with a few different agents, after they'd shown the property, I would follow up with them, and they were telling me how that, there was a few of them, how they had lost out in multiple offers. And also, so just something maybe we should talk about in the future, just going back to this Dunblane property. One of the agents I spoke to, he had submitted 2 offers on the Saturday, and both were submitted. And at that time, the agent disclosed that someone had killed themselves in the 2 different houses.
Oh, shit.
And the buyers did not want the house.
Wow.
So I had the sellers of one of the houses I know, and they came to me and they said they had told me what was going on. And they wanted to see what my house was like at the open house. And they said to me, I don't understand why she's not disclosing it ahead of time. And the poor mother, their son had taken his own life in their house, and the mother started crying, and she's like, I just don't understand why I'm being put through this. I'm being told I'm getting an offer, and then the agent's not disclosing ahead of time, and then the offer comes, then she discloses it, and then the buyers walk away. So just maybe a piece of advice out there. If you run into something like this, definitely disclose beforehand. Don't put your clients through that awful situation.
And Holly, I'm going to speak to that because we did have our own murder in a sale of a Century 21 Millennium. Well, we had the buyer, so we didn't do the wrongdoing, but it had not been disclosed. And the agent was under the misunderstanding that and it is true, in common law, the seller does not have to disclose. It is not law. But as you all know, as realtors, you're actually held to a higher standard than the law. And if you know that there's been a murder, a suicide, a death in the property, you must disclose that about the property. And so that led to RICO complaints, to say the least, that were quite extensive, and then led to a legal case. We came out of it okay, but the other side got utterly slammed. So that's a very serious wrongdoing. You must disclose anything you know about the property. And it's considered a stigmatized property, of course.
And they never found the body.
No. So the murderer is still at large at the house that our buyer bought with 2 little girls. Yeah, so he never moved in there, needless to say.
The things we deal with in real estate, I tell you. Yeah. So message there, when in doubt, always disclose.
Disclose. Now, Trevor, I saw Karen put her hand up about a listing. Maybe she can give us a bit of feedback.
I'm going to go to Stefan, but again, just to Holly's point, I'll just wrap this up. When do you disclose? That's the key, that her message there at the very last second, it can throw that buyer off. I would agree with you, Holly. Are there scenarios where it's not necessarily the best thing in that scenario? That's a judgment call about when you do it. But I would agree with you. But there might be a scenario where you got to disclose it. So if anything, at the very last minute, you must disclose it before that offer comes in, of course. So let me go to Stefan. I'm seeing hands here, but let me go to Stefan first. Then we'll go to Karen, and then we're going to go to Lydia there. I see your hand up, Lydia. So Stefan, did you have a comment or? question?
Just something in my neighborhood. It wasn't my listing, but it's still getting multiple offers. One house I was following. So of course they had the house high listed at 1.3 and change. Then they dropped it to 999. Then they got five offers, multiple in on it, and it sold firm, which I was really surprised. It sold pretty quick. Then the other thing I get is this letter, generic letter, going, dear homeowner, we're looking to move into your neighborhood, our growing family, blah, blah, blah. Here's what we're looking for. If you or any of your neighbors considering, please reach out to our agent. And it's just like, there's no letterhead, nothing, no branding, just the Keller Williams agent info.
Ooh. Wow.
And I just found that kind of odd, going, if you're going to do this, why wouldn't you kind of go the extra mile, right? Instead of just, I don't know. I was just surprised at it.
That's a marketing piece. It could be a sincere one from a homeowner that wants to move in. It could be the agent themselves characterizing it as if it's the buyer themselves and then reach out to this agent. So we've seen that strategy tactic in past, whether it works or it doesn't. I hear different feedbacks. I've never done it myself, but I hear different feedbacks. But no, it's a marketing piece on that. Some people find that impersonal, but it's a marketing piece.
Yeah, that's fine.
I have one other question though.
There is that there was a bidding war at $999. What was the final selling price?
1.21.
See,
The one thing I've also seen lately, which I don't understand, is a listing coming out originally at 999 and then the agent upping the listing price to like 1.349. Why would an agent do that?
That sounds like IP's listing. One of the ones he was working on the other day. It listed at 999. There was 19 offers. IP, I think, is what you told me. You verbally got from the agent that the highest offer was 1.2, and the seller declined it. And then they relisted it at, I think, a 1.3. Go ahead, IP. Am I saying this, characterizing this correct?
Yeah, it's the similar house sold in December for 1.1. That is a 6-year-old with a separate basement apartment. This was a 4-year-old and sold the sellers, they wanted like close to 1.1, between 1.1 and 1.2. Even if they received an offer, but that's what the agent said. I put a firm offer of 1.125 because looking at the comparables, this was 2-year new to the one sold earlier. But he said that they received 1.2, but the seller never sold it. They changed the price to 1.3. So they received around 18 to 19 offers because I was participating. So I know the number, like how many offers were there. And it's still on the market. It's 311 Whitlock. It's still on the market, listed for $999.
So that could answer your question, Stefan. What happened? Why did it go 999 to something like 1.3? I think the biggest challenge right now is, first of all, sellers' expectation and their confidence in the value of their home. But if you don't if that agent again, and we don't know, there's always two sides or several sides, but we don't have control over that sales process there. We're 999, multiple offers. You get 19 offers and the top dollar is 1.2. I would argue with you, and I think I'd be somewhat 90% correct, that could be likely the top dollar value that the market is willing to offer with 19 offers. And then to relist at 1.3 or 1.349, boy, you got some major egg on your face as the agent in that scenario, and you potentially have shown yourself as a seller as unreasonable and irrational. Anyways, those are my comments. Let's go to the other comments. Karen, you had a comment, and then we're going to go to Lydia. I didn't forget, and I see Grace with your hand up as well too. Go ahead, Karen.
Oh, that wasn't really just a comment. You're asking me who had listings and any extra activity happening. And yeah, I'm seeing showings booked 2 or 3 times a week now, where I had like crickets before. We got an offer in. It's nowhere close to what we're asking, but we're it's a starting offer, and we're going to work with it and get as high as we can. Then hopefully explain to my seller that this is the number that we're going to end up at, and Please take it. So we'll see how it goes, like it's crazy. I've got other listings coming down the pipeline, and thankfully most of my sellers have realized that the ship has sailed and it's different now. But I always encourage them to keep in mind that, yeah, no, you're not getting, 1.5 for your house. It's really worth 800 anymore, but you're also able to buy what you want with proper conditions, not overpaying for what you're looking to purchase. So it's a win-win, really. So, yeah, you sell your house for less, but you're buying for less, and you get to buy the house that you want with proper conditions like financing and home inspection. So you got to just twist it to the positive and keep on going.
Great. Karen, I love your attitude. So motivational, so inspiring. And that was that listing that you got the offer on, the one up in Malmer, or just
Yes, yeah. So your dad
That's
interested
beautiful.
still,
That's
because
Yeah, my dad called me. Hey, what's this listing here? I'm like, hey, that's one of our agents. You want to go see it? Nah, it's pretty though. I'm like, okay. But even that, like there's, I don't know, when you turn the new year, people's mindset, it's everything resets, right? So my question again today, if you take one thing away from today, I think everybody who's in your database, when was the last time you talked to them, and what do they know the value of their home right now? Can I do a courtesy market evaluation just so you know where you're starting with in 2023? I hope you guys take that away. Let's go to Lydia. Lydia, if you want to unmute yourself, and let's.
And
Hi.
Diego, hi.
Two things. In my opinion, this is a great market because nobody's under pressure except for the real estate person, but the buyer and the seller have time to think, right?
Yeah.
And when we were talking about the death thing, didn't we used to have to put before you bring an offer, please call the listing agent before typing an offer? We used to put that at the bottom of the thing. And remember, we had that one in Earthstar. Remember, my client was murdered in the house, and it was but we were lucky. The buyer tried everything to get out of it, but he had to carry on because the death certificate said death on the arrival. Even though he died in the house, it was death on the arrival at the hospital. And there was no way. That was an Earthstar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a few years ago. So you have to disclose, like, you don't have to say what happens, but you can just say there's a death in the house. You don't have to give other people's details.
Oh, yes, because you have to be aware of the Privacy Act as
Yeah,
well.
the
So,
privacy,
yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
people, you should Google the house before you sell it. As a buyer, now I always check see if there's any stigma on the house that I don't know. So if in an area, I just put the address in and see what comes up.
And I know I want to take the conversation away from death. I'm uncomfortable with it, generally speaking. But I tell you, this goes for any issue on the house. Mold in the attic. Was there some major damage? Was there some major leaks in the basement? This goes for any potential stigma. It's not just death. It could be a variety of things as well, too. So that's a really good point that, again, Lydia just said, if there's an issue on the house, make sure in the brokerage marks, please contact the listing agent before submitting an offer. Very good point, Lydia. Thank you. Now, Grace, I don't know if Grace is still on the phone. She had her hand up. Hey, Grace, do you want to unmute your phone there? You're on mute right now. It's okay. Take your time. We're good.
No, we still can't hear you.
You know what? Take your time. I'm going to go to Art. Art, you unmute yourself because you had your hand up as well, too. I'll come back to you, Grace, when you unmute yourself. Go ahead, Art.
I'm sorry to stay on the subject of death, but I just have a quick question. If there's a person who is in their home and they're dying of cancer, or they die of a heart attack, for instance, do you have to disclose that type of thing if they've been sent home from the hospital and they've got a week to live and they end up passing away in their home?
Joanne,
Can I answer that? Yes.
Yes,
So here's the guideline. If you have to ask me that, then you should disclose. Even natural causes, it does result in a death. There are some people who will lose their mind no matter even if it's natural cause, if someone went to sleep at 99 years old and passed away in their home, they want to know that, because some people, for religious reasons or their own belief system, they believe they have a right to know, and the law agrees with them on that one. So yes, you need to disclose. And sorry, Trevor, on Lydia's point of, now she has the buyers Google a property. When we had our big case, I actually got to speak to the registrar, and I actually posed that question, which was quite a long time ago when Google was just starting up. And I said, well, what do you expect from us as realtors now? Do I actually have to Google every property? And he went, I never thought of that, but he said, I am going to bring that in now. So yeah, there are so many unrealistic expectations on the shoulders of realtors, but you are expected, if there's anything public, and by the way, when our buyer saw a news article on the person that had been murdered at that property address, and then he Googled it and saw all the newspaper articles that there had been a murder with the murderer still not arrested. So yeah.
Good. I think we're going to close that.
Go ahead, Trevor, change the subject.
We're going to close that discussion point off.
Yes, please.
So now let me just shift gears away from that to Anna De Silva. You're on the call here. You had a great question. I just thought it was important to share with everybody on the call. You texted me last night. I'm just going to read the text. Your question was regarding the vacant home tax. And your question was, you have a client that purchased a brand new home. It has not yet been assessed for tax purposes. And that was, it sounded like it was well over a year ago. And of course you can't, there was discrepancy. What is the tax rate that we don't even have an assessment roll number as of yet. My suggestion to you, number one, is to start with the reaching out to the city to get direction from them on that process. Because frankly, I didn't know the answer to that. If there's a pre-construction, you don't have the assessed value. Did you get any feedback on that point from your client?
Not yet.
Did they reach out yet?
No.
Okay.
I do have to talk to them and let them know that they have to contact the city, but because they have until tomorrow, right? It's February the 2nd, that's the date. So they're working on it.
Any feedback from anybody on that one? Because that was something new to me, as far as if anybody's run across that scenario with a pre-construction and we don't have that assessed value yet.
Is Amon on the
registered
call?
already?
What's that, Michael?
Is it a condo or a house, and is it registered already?
It's a condo. They're both condos. Yeah.
Are they registered though?
Yes.
So they've taken occupancy and it's closed and it's registered?
Yes.
So there should be a PIN number. And then there
Okay.
should be an assessment against the PIN. And then the town or the city will give you a tax ratio formula, and you multiply the assessment against the formula.
Yeah.
Okay.
And sometimes, and I've seen this, Aaron Darmanin sold his house, and that was in February. He had to resell it in September. And just for clarity, like Trevor, just being, run with that listing for me, please, no problem. But the question was, hey, we don't have an assessed value yet. And it takes time for the roll number to come out. The roll number, it should be there within, I think it's like 30, 45 days, but the assessed value hasn't been assessed yet. And he was still waiting for that. And he got occupancy in 2021, and he was still selling in September 2022, still didn't have an assessed value. So that's why it's like, I don't know that answer. Just go to the authority. There will be times we don't know the answer. Where's the authority on that data? So that's, I guess, step number one. Let's go to the city. Yeah. And is Amon on the call? Yeah, you're welcome, Anna. But I thought that was a good question, because that's relevant right now. I don't think Amon's on the call, but
I am here.
Amon,
Sorry,
any comments on that?
Yeah, so there's two ways to look at it. If you really need to have, your client is pushing for it, you can look at the similar properties within the vicinity. If it's a low-rise freehold, you probably will find something very similar sold recently. If not, you can, if it's a condo, you can look at the similar buildings, building 1, 2, 3. There could be other buildings which have been done before. And that's one way of getting it. But just keep in mind, whenever we buy a pre-con, there is always something in areas which gets added on from the land portion of it down to the finished portion of it. So for example, a townhouse, freehold townhouse, city will, once they have the assessed value in from the day of possession, they will still have some portion of it come to you, pushed on to you from when the builder gave you the occupancy. So it's not going to be very precise for the very first year. You will have one which will be under the formula. Second would be the unfinished side of it will also get added on to the property tax.
Great.
that
Aman,
makes sense.
thank you for that feedback. That's lovely. I see Christina has put in the Toronto information who you can reach out to, Anna, in the chat. And I do see Stephanie with her hand up. I know she went through the marketing exercise, just touching base with her database. Stephanie, do you have any comments or feedback for us?
So Anna, I would recommend checking MPAC to see if they have an assessment roll number attached yet. And if they do, just give them that roll number to call Toronto with and see if they've assigned them a customer number, because that's the two main things they'll need is their roll number and their customer number. So if they have both of those, then they'll be able to submit. I just had a client who closed on a new build. We registered in December, so they don't have either yet. And my advice to them was, once we get it assigned, we'll go back on the website to enroll just in case. But realistically, it shouldn't be a problem. But it's a good idea to have them call Toronto and just triple check.
Thank you.
And guys, just make sure that you're doing all that communication through email. You know, even if you have the verbal conversation, make sure you follow it up with an email, because we don't want someone ever coming back to say you misled them or you gave them incorrect information. You know, just make sure you've got that paper trail for yourself.
Great.
And I think,
one thing,
Trevor, did we see, who else did you want to talk? Who had?
well,
to
sorry,
unmute?
just one thing
Grace?
before we move on. You mentioned, Stephanie, you mentioned the NPAC. I don't know if anybody's aware. I just discovered this. IP was in the office a couple of weeks ago. You cannot grab the. Where am I going? So if I go into any property here, usually when I go to the property line, which is where the NPAC details are, this is not available anymore. Did anybody notice this? There was an announcement about this a couple weeks ago. I don't know.
Yeah, you have to go through Geo Warehouse now.
Exactly. So I just wanted to clarify that. Where are you getting assessed values now? This is not available anymore. I'm sure there's a story. I'll get the background story on that, but you'll need to go to the Geo Warehouse, which is your Geo Warehouse link. So on that property, when you scroll down, you always wanted to, and now that's not tied to that particular listing. But let's see if we go to another one here. Make it easier. Come on, one time. Okay, we don't have that. So you got to go to that particular. Let's go to Black Duck Trail here. So here's a property. The assessed value would be down here, Anna. So there's your ARN number, which is what Stephanie was mentioning, and then here's your assessed value for. So it's this assessed value on the newer homes they don't particularly get. But Aman's comments were all excellent piece of feedback as well. I just want to mention that. Any other comments? This is a good chat we're having.
Trevor.
Yeah, Karen.
I just wanted to point out, you can still reach property line. It's just through Geo Warehouse.
It's through Geo Warehouse.
That's right. So you were just on it when you're looking at the assessment, and just above that, it says MPAC and it's in blue. They've completely revised the situation, but it's a lot better. It just takes a little bit because you're looking at something new for the first time, but it's still there. Still gives you all the information and then some.
Right.
See that little, right, exactly. And if your Geo Warehouse always takes you not directly to that particular listing that you're looking at, just double click on the ARN number or the PIN number, copy and paste it into the line of Geo, hit search, and it'll show up.
Yeah, and as I'm going through this, I'm seeing this is usually the cart section. I've seen this now before, where you go down to find the actual, say I want to download the square footage and the details of that property, that 3-page or 1-page that you get. Is that what you're referring to, Karen?
Well, that is there, absolutely, it's there now. You can scroll down and you have a zero report. It costs you $0 to get one of the reports. If you just scroll, there it is.
There it is.
There's that. Also, there's a lot of stuff that is now on GeoWarehouse that wasn't on it before, so that makes it a bit easier.
Good. Okay.
I still think you have to pay. The guy bought like a pack of 50, so I got each report for $7 instead of $9. And because I use it all the time, right?
Okay, excellent.
But yeah, it's still all there. It's just laid out differently.
I like this though. I do like this. Excellent. Thank you, Karen.
You're welcome.
Any other comments or questions on this?
Yeah, it will prompt you for the first time to put in your details. So you have to put in all your email, phone numbers, name, your TRREB ID, I think, before you will start getting access to those reports.
Cool. Thanks, Aman. Ricky, I saw you unmuted. Did you have a comment or a question? No, he's just being good.
Grace is unmuted now, Trevor.
Grace.
Oh, Trevor, I just, or everybody, hi, everybody, good morning. I just wanted to say, if you have a listing, or if I have a listing that may have some concerns that I don't necessarily want the whole world to know unless they're serious about it, I would just put in the broker's remarks to contact a listing broker prior to preparing an offer and see Schedule B, because I have sold properties in the past that have been grow operations or have had suicides, and I've just put it right in the Schedule B. But I just say to the agent prior to preparing an offer to contact me.
Good.
So I think
so
that's
you're recording it in writing, attaching it to your listing in a Schedule B, correct?
yes. But if I want to keep the Schedule B a bit more private on behalf of the seller, I don't necessarily upload that. I say that to contact me prior to an offer to have the Schedule B.
Good. Excellent.
Yeah.
I like it.
Now, Trevor, I think there are about a dozen more people on than when we started. I just want to see that slide again, number 18 in the world, if you don't mind, and then you can go on to the rest of your stuff. I'm still doing the happy dance. Yeah.
So
for those of you who joined us a little late, by the way, you're all number 19 in the world. Grace, I wanted you to see that.
Congratulations.
Yes, yeah, we were number 8 in Canada.
Number 8 from
number
Canada
9 and number 19 in the entire world. Whoop whoop. Okay, awesome. Trevor, carry on.
No, that's a noteworthy slide to visit.
It is a noteworthy slide.
I like it. I like it. Okay, so guys, let's just put pause on this great discussion. This is wonderful. Just a couple things I wanted to share again. Let me escape out of this. Stand by.
Standing by.
Standing by. Gee, where do I start? I don't want to bore people, but I just thought this was really cool. I went to the Canadian website to pull down certain details. I was looking at the inflation rate for the last 5 years. Yes, we saw last year, June, we got up to an 8.1% inflation there. This is again, the running average. I just think it's important for people to understand how that inflation is determined. It's determined by the CPI. I think I mentioned this last week. And as all items continue to go up as far as our CPI value, which is where our inflation is based off of, we can see that it was the gasoline and the transportation that were really the big peaks there. I just wanted to make that note to you. And then as interest rates have been going up, you can see under the shelter, of course, the shelter cost has been going up as well too, which is really, it's just an interesting piece of information. So I just wanted to share that with you.
New inflation numbers come out for January, mid-February. So,
okay.
Just so you know.
Cool. Thanks, Rod. One thing as well too, when we're doing, this was something that kind of came up. I was doing a CMA the other day and someone was asking me like cost comparison, where do you get those? And then I remember Jim does coaching at the Brampton Real Estate Board for CMAs, and someone said he's referencing some documentation. This just came out as well too, the cost guide, and I just wanted to share that with you. Bear with me, gotta find it. Where did I put it? That's the question. Where did I put it? I can send that to you guys. I just don't know where I put it. Now I'm a little bit lost on my presentation here. There it is. I download this. I'll actually send this in an email after Wisdom Wednesday today, but I think this is a great resource. Jim, I think you might have a different resource you send your students to, but this one here just basically, as a general rule of thumb, here's some numbers for different types of products, square footage. So when we're talking about replacement values of a home, just the home and the build and the structure of that, as one of the consideration variables when doing that CMA, this might be a tool that you can pull to and refer back to as well too. Again, as I mentioned, January, February, we should all be out there talking to our clients about the value of their homes, about the value of real estate in general. CMAs are based on previous sales. Another way to evaluate homes is if I had to replace it, if there's say a fire in the house, insurance company is looking at what's the value of what's to replace that. That's another way to look at it as well too. Again, these are all just kind of talking points and resources for you to pull on, rather than opinions and feelings and guts. Let's go to some of the numbers there. So I just wanted to bring that up because that is a valuable resource there. One other thing I want to just touch on Monday morning, we started the Brian Buffini 8 weeks of mastery, and this is the advanced version. I just want to kind of show you. This is the module 1 that we started. It was called the Acres of Diamonds. I thought it was a really good discussion before and after, of course. But one of the things that Brian is mentioning is, look, there are so many ways to build your business in real estate. And there are a lot of lessons to be learned. His big lesson, which he's referring in a book, which someone probably knows here, I forget the name of the book, but it's a story of a man who goes in search of diamonds and precious metals, and he sells the property that he's on, and he goes off to in search of these precious metals. The person who purchased that property from him found the largest diamond mine, if not in the world. The most precious stones are found in this particular area. Before we go out and we spend a lot of money on different strategies and switching up your gears, when we look at farm areas, we looked at a 6 to 12 month minimum return on that farm area. When we look at online leads, there's a cost for that. When you put a billboard up, there's a cost for that. I'm all for it. But the lesson here, what Brian's message was during this session was, guys, you're sitting on $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 of income. You just don't have the right tools to uncover it. And the vision and faith that it's standing right underneath of you. And now we did have 8 people come to that session. That was a little low since I actually put it out there that this is a free session. I'm going to do it one more time. Next week's module, which is called Creating Critical Mass in Your Database. This is open to every single person in this company to come. We're doing it. Teodora's running it in Orangeville, and we're running it here in Brampton as well too. I think you're missing an opportunity for 2 things. Getting the information. Brian did say, you guys all know this. Oh, Brian, I've been through your program. I've purchased your program. I've done this. I've done that. But you're right. We all know how to run this business. If you had to coach this business, you could do probably a really good job of doing it. But there's a difference between knowing what to do and actually doing it and grabbing that shovel and sticking it in the ground and opening up that earth. That's what we're talking about doing. I'm not doing this session because we're trying to teach you information, no. You misunderstand. We're doing this session to bring action into your business. So that's number one. Number two, I always believe when we get together like this, whether it be Zoom, even more so when we get together in person, that's where the real learning is taking place. And we had discussions before, whoever is in that meeting, and afterwards, and it was powerful. And we find strength within the people, the closest people in our lives, every single week. For the next 8 weeks, we're doing this with this crew, and whoever wants to be a part of it is welcome to come into it. Come out this Monday. I won't be here, but Joanne and Holly are going to be driving that. So I think it's going to be a wild session in Brampton with those two having fun. And then Theodora will be running that up in Orangeville. Theodora's fun too, just so we're clear. So come on out to that. And again, we, at the end of this session, it was a 45-minute video, and then you walk away. And then these are the action steps, and he gives very clear instructions what to do and what we're going to be doing for next week. And we're going to be bringing that to the team. And there's no judgment, yet there is action. That's it. It's not judgment. It's not to make you feel bad. It's not to make you cringe. It's to just bring action to your business. Okay. So I just wanted to bring that up. What else? Christina.
And I know you're not bringing shame, Trevor, but just in case you don't show up for your job that you work at, because I don't know any other job. When I was a nurse, they did not let me stay home and not come and take care of my patients. And when you had any other job besides real estate, you had to show up and put your hours in and do your work. This is your work. I want to see you all next Monday. Just saying. Unless you're on an offer or a listing presentation, then you have my blessing not to be there. Other than that, no excuses. Okay, Trevor, sorry.
Joanne has dropped the hammer. He has dropped.
Oh my God. Come on, gang.
Now, you know what? Attention is good, guys. Accountability is good. A little, I think it was Chanel. She was like, I just need a kick in my butt, to get things going. Absolutely. We all do. This is a humble place to be in the business of sales. Anybody see those stats that were published or not published necessarily by TRREB, but were the TRREB stats this week? If they're all over the place. How many people did 0 deals last year? 30,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's
Don't
okay
let that be you.
if they're in transition, they're learning, that's okay. But this is not a business for the masses. It's 80-20 rule. Maybe it's 90-10 these days, where 10% of the top performers bring in 90% of the revenue. That's a general rule. You look at any industry, you're going to see that. Okay. We got an average production per agent per year within Millennium at between 11 and 12 in the Brampton office, even higher as you go further north. We're a top performing office. And we just number 19 in the world. We just think diamonds are the only ones that can cut another diamond. We're diamonds here. Come sit down. We'll cut you up. I don't know if that's the right motivation.
Or no, here, Trevor, I had a thought. I'll give you a hug before you have to go out and hunt, because you're hunters. Never forget, you are hunters, warriors. Come on. And if I don't do it to you, Holly will. So, and Tio, I know. Whoa. We're going to have a little triangle.
Lovely.
Okay, I'll try to shut up.
I said I can't leave this meeting without the note. Christina, if you don't mind, I've given you the ability to share your desktop. There is just a couple of the forms when you want to change a closing date on a property. There's a new form for that, and I just wanted to bring that up. If you could do that. The other thing, but as Christina's just kind of queuing up there, anytime you are submitting an offer from a buyer, let the record show, please submit Form 127. That is a second layer of protection to you and your client. We talked last week, as Theodora mentioned, about client versus customer and where that's going to go. We are going to be held to a higher standard as time goes on with the accountability. So make sure you're filling out Form 127. Make sure when they realize they're not going in with inspection, financing, or any other reason, due diligence, they know about that. They've initialed that 127. And this is another form. I'm going to let Christina take over. Go ahead, Christina.
So they really only added, I think it was 1 or 2 new forms. One new form is actually this 224. It doesn't replace the 244. There still is the 244. What this is limits any loopholes and your duties as an agent to have the right conversations with your clients about conveying offers, bully offers, and how the whole process runs. And the reason for this form was so that you do have those conversations, outline what the expectations are, because I think a lot of people still don't understand that when you limit your showings to a specific date and you're not to convey them, that means you don't convey them. You can't present them at the most reasonable time as soon as possible because the instructions say otherwise. So it's just to have those extra conversations that if we do take bully offers, this is how they happen. If we're not taking them, are you sure? Here's the pros and cons. And that's what this form does. It just forces extra conversations and, gives you a little bit extra clout that it won't blow back that you've had those conversations. And they sign off on this form before you move on to the 244. Just a added protection. That's about it. It just explains that you've gone over the forms. I haven't gone through much. Trevor, we were talking about this form, which is notice to completion date. So this is actually, it's not new. They've had it for a couple of years, but the reason they're bringing it up because this form can be used in a way, it's twofold. It doesn't require acceptance by both parties. It's unilateral. So any party can submit this notice to the other as long as a couple of caveats are there. One of them being, and I'm going to go and then I'll come back to the form. It needs to be used with change of completion date, either by buyer or seller, as an advance notice. If this is in your offer, in your agreement, what you're saying is everyone's already agreed. You can provide the written notice that it's going to happen and it's done. No one has to sign off. You're not opening your agreement to further negotiations or to someone saying, we don't accept it. It has to close as intended. It will not work with the change of completion date, mutual agreement amended, your amendments required. So if you are going to start using this form, it's recommended that you use one of these 2 clauses in your agreement of purchase and sale, because it will allow you to then present this notice of change where you're just delivering them notice that you're changing the current date to the new date. And the only thing that's required is acknowledge that it's been received. Whether you during the closing date, what they've said is this can also be used if you're serving notice for other circumstances, whether you need a contractor to get into the property to help you do measurements, renovation work. It can also be used in a status certificate situation. Usually you have a couple of days to order the status, then that status is delivered to the lawyers, but no one ever knows when it gets to the lawyers. So the clock never starts counting on when do my 3 days start. You can use this form in other information notice to say the status was ordered, the lawyer's been delivered, your 3 days starts from this day. That's really what it is. It's a notice change for anything in that APS, as long as the right words are in your original offer. Any questions about this one?
Christina, I saw in the chat, Ricky was asking if you could email those out with the explanations that you have there.
Yeah, sure.
And again, everyone can take a thorough read through then.
Yeah, and just so everyone knows, this is not, if you're going into an amendment where you're used, we're all used to putting closing date change, insert, delete. You will still have to do that if your agreement of purchase and sale does not have these. This just limits the chance of someone being able to stop that process, that progress for you. So I can email all of this because it kind of goes through which clauses to use and when you can't use it.
Perfect. Yeah.
Other than that, one minor change on the APS is the Canadian banking system went through a change and legislation on how they call their system. So the large value system was changed now to the links under the Canadian Payments Act. So what they've done is just changed our tender, how we refer to it, the balance of deposit, further deposits, all those clauses will now make reference to the Canadian Payments Act and the links high value system. And that's about it. Same thing, those were the clauses. Key important dates, there's nothing new on TRREB. It's not there yet. We're waiting also because RICO has to go through a lot of forms that they're going to deliver, kind of like the working with the realtor. Those things are not quite ready, but they did put this up the other day, which is a webinar that they're doing on March 29th, which is an update. So you can access all this through the OREA website. They have the TRREB update coming, and then looks like they're going to do probably another one a couple of weeks later that goes over all the forms and new literature that RICO and CREA and OREA are rolling out. And I can share all this. These are the links. There's also a little fun quiz. You can test your forms knowledge. You're not graded, but it tells you can go back and change your answers. But all of this again is on the OREA website. And I had this to talk about the vacant declaration, but that already came up. So I just posted the little reminder. It's fairly easy to do online for those who have their Toronto investment properties. And that's it.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Cool. So guys, we're just past the 12 o'clock the hour. This was a really valuable session. The reason it was valuable, participation from you, participation from our top performers and all of you. So thank you for a wonderful Wisdom Wednesday session. And I see, Sarah, is that a question that you have, or is that you're just waving at me? Nope, she was just waving. That's all.
It was just an applause. Congratulations, everyone.
Awesome. Okay, good. So guys, enjoy your week. Monday morning, 10:30. Come on out. Come on out in the Orangeville office with Theodora. We got muffins. We got croissants with a little chocolate. We call them pain chocolat. Okay, in France. Have some fun. Let's do this. And there's nothing else you're doing Monday morning. I know you're not doing anything Monday morning. You're going to take your kids. If you got the kids, you're going to take them to school. And then you're going to be sitting there waiting for the phone to ring from a client to list their house. But that's not going to happen. So just come on in on Monday morning and let's take control of your business.
And make it happen. Make it happen.
Let's make it happen. Okay, guys. So
see you on Monday.
This Monday will be free. If you want to continue, want to see what it's all about, and then register for it and pay for the program to attend, you absolutely are welcome. Okay. But week 3, it's not free. It's not free. Just come in for this one session on Tuesday or on Monday and get the taste of that. Okay. Excellent. We'll see you guys all then, and have a wonderful week.
Have a glass of champagne to celebrate being number 19 in the world. Did I mention that yet? Yep. Bye. See you Monday.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.